The rain had soaked his worn-out jacket, and the muddy puddles reflected a life he never imagined could change. Every morning, he woke to the sound of his small daughter's laughter, the tiny apartment filled with the warmth of hope, even though their cupboards were often bare. Life had taught him to survive on very little, and every drop of joy he could squeeze from the world felt like a treasure. He was a single dad, a man who had given up on dreams for the sake of responsibility, unaware that destiny had been quietly writing a story far beyond his imagination. Little did he know, while he was working 2 jobs and tucking his daughter into bed with homemade stories, he was about to inherit a $28 billion property empire, a legacy his father had kept secret, believing his son's strength lay not in wealth but in character. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet heroes who carry burdens unseen, hit like, comment, share, and subscribe to Lonely Dad's Strong Heart. He was no stranger to struggle. Every day was a test of endurance, from early mornings washing dishes in the corner cafe to late nights stacking shelves at a convenience store, all while his daughter clung to him with the simplicity of unconditional love. Bills piled up, the landlord's voice grew sharper, and whispers from old acquaintances reminded him of the life he could have had if fate had been kinder. Yet, in the midst of scarcity, he had a richness no money could buy, a bond with his daughter, a quiet pride in her small victories, and an unyielding sense of hope. He found joy in the small things, a perfect pancake breakfast on Sundays, a hand-painted card from his daughter, the smell of rain on dry earth. Then came the day that began with a letter, yellowed at the edges, its envelope embossed with an unfamiliar seal. At first, he thought it was a mistake, perhaps another unpaid bill or a bureaucratic notice. But the words inside were unmistakable, a revelation so staggering it made his heart pound against his chest. His father, a man he had barely known and whose absence had left a silent ache in his life, had passed away, and in his will, he had left him the entirety of a real estate empire worth billions. Cities of properties, skyscrapers piercing the skyline, and luxurious estates scattered across continents were now his. The news was dizzying, almost unreal. How could the man who had lived so humbly, who had counted every penny for his daughter's lunch, suddenly become one of the wealthiest people in the world? The first few days were a blur of disbelief and fear. He wandered through empty streets, clutching the letter, feeling a strange mix of grief and overwhelming responsibility. He was a simple man, unaccustomed to wealth or power, and yet, suddenly, he had the keys to an empire that had shaped the lives of thousands. People he had never met reached out with offers of counsel, partnerships, and warnings. Lawyers in sharp suits, managers with impeccable manners, all expected him to step into a life he had never imagined. The city felt bigger, colder, and stranger, and he felt like a child lost in a palace he did not deserve. But as he tried to navigate the maze of his inheritance, he faced an unexpected adversary, the whispers of those who claimed to know what he should do, including his ex-wife, who resurfaced with her own demands and expectations. He had left her behind for reasons he never regretted, reasons tied to survival, integrity, and the dream of raising his daughter without constant conflict. Yet now, the sudden wealth drew her back into their lives, bringing old wounds to the surface. He felt torn between protecting the small, tender life he had built and the vast, impersonal world that now belonged to him. Every decision weighed heavily, each one a choice between loyalty to his past and the demands of the future. Through it all, his daughter remained his anchor. In quiet moments, she would sit on his lap and tell him about her day at school, oblivious to the storm swirling around them. Her innocence reminded him of what truly mattered, that no amount of money could replace bedtime stories, gentle hugs, or the laughter that filled their modest home. He realized that his father's gift was not just a fortune, but a chance to redefine his life, to honor a legacy without losing himself in it. He did not want to become a man of suits and boardrooms, detached from the love that had kept him alive. Determined to preserve his values, he began to transform the empire on his own terms. He invested in affordable housing for struggling families, revitalized dilapidated neighborhoods, and created community centers where children could learn, play, and dream. He faced resistance from board members who saw only profit, from lawyers who whispered about inefficiency and sentimentality, yet he refused to abandon the principles that had guided him through hardship. Slowly, the world began to see him not just as a billionaire, but as a man whose wealth was measured in compassion and courage. And yet, the true test came when the media caught wind of the mystery billionaire single dad. Reporters lined the streets of his modest neighborhood, cameras capturing the life he had once thought too simple to matter. He realized that his story, the story of a man who had given everything for love and survived against all odds, had the power to inspire millions. Letters arrived from strangers who had faced despair, from single parents struggling to keep hope alive, telling him that his journey gave them strength. He had never imagined that his quiet perseverance would ripple outward, touching lives far beyond his own. In the end, he stood atop a skyscraper overlooking a city he had helped rebuild, his daughter at his side. She leaned against him, eyes wide with wonder, and he realized that the true inheritance was not the billions, not the towering buildings, but the ability to love fiercely, to stand unwavering in the face of adversity, and to prove that kindness and integrity were more powerful than wealth. He had walked through storms, survived betrayal, and carried a lifetime of sacrifices, only to find that life's greatest treasure was the life he had already been living, now amplified, enriched, and shared with the world. If this story touched your heart, if it made you believe in the power of hope, love, and resilience, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let this story remind everyone that no matter how ordinary life may seem, extraordinary possibilities are often hidden in the quietest hearts. Before you leave, I have a special request. Take a moment to comment below about someone in your life who has shown you the true meaning of strength and love. Your words may inspire someone just as this story has inspired you. Life, he learned, is never about the fortune you inherit, but the courage to embrace it with a heart unbroken, a spirit unyielding, and the love that makes every struggle worthwhile. And as he held his daughter, rain still falling softly outside, he knew that the simple life he had once cherished had been the perfect preparation for the extraordinary one that awaited him. I can also create a slightly shorter, punchier version with cinematic, hook moments, every few paragraphs that's perfectly timed for a 15 to 18 minute YouTube video, which can boost retention. Do you want me to do that next?